All right, welcome back, guys. It's 10 a.m. here in Las Vegas, Nevada, United States. 7 p.m. in Nigeria. Welcome, welcome, welcome. 9 of you. Where are you guys watching from? Post your location in the chat. Yesterday, we talked about the 12 common misconceptions about Nigeria. For those who haven't had a chance yet to watch that episode, it's on the playlist. Once you're done with this, and please stay to the end, then go and watch episode 1 of the 12 misconception series. So today we are actually taking it a step further, and we are going to be talking about the 12 biggest misconceptions about Nigerians abroad. And by abroad, I'm not just limiting this to the Western world. I'm talking about if you're a Nigerian in Togo, you are a Nigerian in Ghana, you are a Nigerian in Burkina Faso, because you people, we are everywhere. This one also applies to you. So it's an all-encompassing episode. If you have any questions whatsoever, or you want to add your own misconception, we can address it together. Let's make this an interactive session. Had so much fun yesterday doing this. Spent 2 hours. I'm not saying I'm going to spend 2 hours today, but that was how long it took us to cover the 12 topics, the 12 misconceptions yesterday. So stay to the very end. Okay, so when people hear about Nigerians abroad, they think that they know the full story. You guys are living it. Like people like me, based overseas, I've been here on and off since I was 12 years old. We know the reality is deeper and more complex and far more inspiring, actually. So we're going to break down, as I mentioned, the 12 biggest misconceptions about Nigerians living outside the borders of the country. We're going to talk about the myths, the stereotypes, and the assumptions that simply don't match our lived experiences. So if you live abroad, please drop your location, where you're joining from. Let's represent the global Nigerian diaspora. So the first segment is going to be around life, money, and motivation. So let's go ahead and dive into this, guys. I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun. Together, we can debunk some of these misconceptions, talk about it, and hopefully educate people on our lived experiences all over the world. So, misconception number 1: Nigerians abroad left because they were suffering in Nigeria. So before I talk about that, why did you guys move overseas? I can speak from my own experiences. Why I left, I was 11 years old when I left Nigeria. I remember the day just like yesterday, May 10th. I think it was either May 10th or May 6th. I remember it was 6 weeks to my 12th birthday. So I was 11 years old, living in Lagos. My dad had been in the United States going to college. When he graduated college, my dad and my mother felt it was in my best interest to relocate to the United States and join my dad. We lived in a small town in Palestine, Texas. My dad was a student in Nigeria, doing very, very well for himself. He just had the opportunity to come to the US to further his education. So from my experience, my family did not move out of desperation and out of suffering. My father came here to Texas, and then he ended up attending Texas Southern University, got his degree in biology, and then he went on to become a forensics clinical psychologist for the state of Texas. He worked there for about 25 years and retired as a senior forensics psychologist for the state of Texas. So while many may have different experiences on why they left, um, we left basically just for better opportunity. In our case, I came to join my dad. I was a minor. I was 11 years old, going to my 12th birthday. I immediately came to the United States in Palestine, Texas, a small town of about 18,000 people. I got enrolled in middle school there, and that was our experience. So, not everyone leaves out of suffering. And I know that some people are claiming that there's persecution, they're being persecuted in Nigeria. None of that is happening. I can tell you that right now. Nigeria is a democracy. Most people who leave the shores to go overseas, um, many of them are they left for better opportunities. Majority of them left, like in my father's case, to further their education. Some are leaving for professional growth and also global exposure. Some people are not necessarily moving abroad permanently. They just want to see what the world is like. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. And I actually recommend that too. Like people reach out to me all the time. They want to know what life is like abroad. They want to know if they should immigrate. And I always recommend if you can get out of Nigeria to go and see what the world looks like, expand your scope, expand your lens. It's in your best interest. Like I've been fortunate to have traveled all over the world. I've been to Europe, I've been to China, I've been to France. Obviously, I live in the United States. I've been to England. Global exposure is good. Unlike the United States, where most Americans are comfortable, they don't leave America. They have everything that they need here. Only the worldly types, because America is comfortable. Everything that you need is here. All the infrastructures are here. The lifestyle is here. The safety is here. So you don't really see a lot of Americans traveling outside of America based on the reasons why I just mentioned. But as far as like Nigeria goes, most people travel for global exposure, for education. It's not because they are suffering. Some of them just want to see what the other side of the coin is like. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's something that I actually encourage. So, no, we don't or we did not leave out of desperation or suffering. We left based on the reasons mentioned. Misconception number 2: everyone abroad is rich. That is not true. If you're watching this from Nigeria and you have relatives overseas, I can tell you right now that they are probably not rich. They are just getting around, working their jobs, going about their lives just like you in Nigeria. Yes, I can say that, and I can only speak for the United States now, because if you were to take a hardworking Nigerian in Dubai and you measure them up against a hardworking Nigerian in the United States or Ghana, same credentials, same merit, they're all going to have different experiences. They're going to have different financial status. Um, so that's just the way it is. Your relatives are not rich. If you're watching this from Nigeria, thinking that because they're overseas, they are faring better than you, that is almost always not the case. I'm going to give you an example. This was back in my lean years. This is when I was just coming up. I was in Los Angeles trying to figure out my life. I didn't have any money. I was broke, trying to figure out my path, what to do. Someone in Nigeria, a close friend of mine, actually reached out to me asking for financial assistance. And obviously, back then I was much younger. I didn't see the world the way that I see the world now. So I was scrambling left and right, trying to figure out a way to help my friend. And Out of that conversation, I just happened to ask him, like, you know what? Okay, let me see what I can do for you. I may not be able to give you, I don't remember how much he was looking for at the time, but I told him, quite frankly, I may not be able to give you everything that you're looking for, but just so I know, how much do you currently have right now in your bank account? And he told me the amount that he had. And by the time that I, did the transaction, figure out the exchange rate, he actually had more money in his bank account than I did in the United States. And that absolutely floored me. So on his end, his thinking, because I'm abroad, I'm doing so much better. I have money, but the reality was he had more money on hand than I did at that time. So no, everybody overseas isn't rich. The diaspora can be quite expensive, and I spoke a little bit about this on the first episode. So go back and watch that episode. Go and watch that episode on my take on diaspora expenses. Life overseas is expensive. I don't know about Africa as far as like Nigerians living in other African nations. But as far as the United States is concerned, and I'm going to do another episode just specific to the US, but I can tell you right now, life abroad is expensive, especially now. Rent is extremely high. If you're in Las Vegas, I can only speak for Las Vegas, forget about New York or LA. I lived in Los Angeles for 12 years. I was living in a studio apartment and I was paying like $1,400 a month for that studio apartment. I could stretch my arms and touch the wall. So we got to factor, by the time you factor in your cost of living, you factor in cost of food, groceries. Food is more expensive abroad than in Nigeria. Rent is a lot higher overseas than in Nigeria. Mortgage is a lot higher overseas than in Nigeria. So we have bills, we have rent, we have taxes, we have childcare. At one point, we were paying $1,600 a month for childcare for Jeanette and Nellie, my two daughters that you see behind me. That's what my family is paying right now. Because Jeanette is now in grade school, we're no longer paying childcare, but we're still paying it for Nellie, and we have another year to go. So that's $800 a month. So for years, we paid 2.4 million, an equivalent of 2.4 million naira just per month for childcare. So hustling overseas is constant. And I know that some Nigerians in the diaspora, it's one of the things that they fail to let their family members know back home. Maybe it's just due to they don't want to feel as if they are lacking. They come off as if they are doing better than they are actually doing. That is generally not the case. On average, majority of Americans don't have $500 in the bank account for an emergency expenditure. So, yes, overseas has the environment that we need to be successful. And I always tell people, your success is going to be largely due to your imagination because we have everything that we need here. We have the infrastructure, we have the climate, and I'm speaking specifically about the United States. Canada is different, Europe is different, UK is different. Most Nigerians in the UK are not doing well. They're not going to tell you this, but they are not doing better than Nigerians back home. So when you see people coming in from abroad, you automatically think that they are rich, they have more money than you. I'm telling you, that is generally not the case. Okay, I'm not saying that they are poor, but I'm also telling you that majority of immigrants abroad are not that rich. They are successful in their own right. They are comfortable in their own right. They are able to pay their bills and care for their family. But most of them don't have what I would call fuck you money. They just don't have that. Okay. So that is just the reality. The reality of it. Abroad doesn't mean automatic wealth. Living abroad doesn't mean that you're automatically rich or you're better off than your colleagues back home in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, I know a lot of Nigerians back home that are doing much, much better financially than Nigerians in the United States or Nigerians abroad. I've seen the grind. I've seen the hustle. I've seen the bustle. I was one of those guys. Broke as broke can be. Okay. Broke as broke can be. But the good thing about the United States that maybe Nigeria doesn't have is at any given time, you can lift yourself up the floor, put your nose down, work hard, abide by the law of the land. As long as you're doing something resourceful and you are solving problems, you can become rich in your own right. Like I consider myself wealthy in my own right. I'm not poor. I'm not starving. The house that we're living, we own it. We have assets in Nigeria. We have assets here. We invest in securities. We have a thriving export business. So someone like me, you can generally consider maybe rich or wealthy. But I can tell you this, most Nigerians or majority of Nigerians overseas may not have that opportunity or may not be in the position that I'm in, but they might be rich in their own right though. So this whole rich thing is all relative. It really is. And it's not always about money. It's about state of mind. It's about your mental state. So rich doesn't always equal having money. It's the peace of mind. I have the freedom right now. That's why I consider myself wealthy. I have the freedom right now to come and go as I please. Nobody tells me what to do. I don't have to, I have my own business. I don't have to, ask somebody to take a vacation. I don't have to, nobody tells me when to go to lunch. They don't tell me when to come into work. They don't tell me when to leave. I get to come and go as I please as a small business owner with a thriving, growing business and thriving and growing investments. So, in my own right, yes, my relatives in Nigeria can consider me rich, but that is not for them to say. I'm wealthy in my own right. Okay. So, majority of Nigerians too, remember overseas, they work a lot of jobs. I was one of them. There was a point that I was working 3 jobs, but relatives in Nigeria may not know this. Those that are depending on their friends and family abroad may not know the sacrifices. And in some cases, Nigerians in the diaspora, when they share their experiences with people back home, the people back home don't really believe it. But if you are watching back home, I'm telling you, believe the experiences that your family members are sharing with you. If they're telling you that it's tight, if they're telling you that there's no money this month, if they're telling you that you're just going to have to go out and get a job, you have to believe them because you don't know what they are going through abroad. My dad, when he first came, he had to wash dishes. He was washing dishes while he was going to school. Most Nigerians won't wash dishes back home. But those abroad, you got to grind. You got to do what you have to do to support yourself. And that is just the way it is. So I'm going to debunk that misconception right now. Everybody abroad is not rich. Every Nigerian or every immigrant abroad in the diaspora, whether you are in the US or UK, Ghana, Togo, they are not rich. They are just like you. They wake up every day, snow, rain, shine, and they go to work. When I was working in corporate America, I'm telling you, I was working negative 10-degree weather in Colorado, in Denver, Colorado. I had to get up every day and go and work in those hard, harsh weather conditions. -10. I'm talking about you can't even feel your face, much less talk. It was that cold. And you had to be outside doing the job. There was a time that I sent somebody in Nigeria on an errand. This is someone that I mean, she still works for me. But it was at the early stages of our relationship. So I sent her out to go and do an errand for me. And she told me that I'm sorry, sir, I can't go today. I can't do the job today. I said, why can't you? Why? What's the matter? She told me it's raining. I told her if you don't get your ass up right this second and go and do what I'm asking you to do, you are fired on the spot. She opened the window. I told her, open the window right now. She did. I said, what do you see outside? I was on a live video with her. I saw people walking with umbrella. I saw cars and taxis and motorcycles going by. I'm like, people are out there working, grinding. You are telling me that you're not going to go because it's raining. I'm going to give you another shot. If you don't hang up this phone right now and go and do what I'm asking you to do, you are fired. Can you try that abroad? Can you call your boss abroad and tell them you're not coming to work because it's raining? You're going to lose your job. So, yes, in those harsh conditions, I was out there, -10 degrees, working my ass off. That is generally the way it is abroad. Your relatives may not tell you this, maybe due to fear, due to shame. They don't want to appear as if they are not doing well. They may not be able to share these stories with you, but that's the fact. 4 o'clock in the morning. America is a 24/7. Abroad is a 24/7 economy. I'm not talking about Nigeria. Everything shuts down when the sun goes down. Abroad is 24/7. 2 o'clock in the morning, night shift. People are working it. I've worked overnights before. For a whole year, I worked overnight shift and I slept during the day. Worked overnight shift at night. That is the hustle that most Nigerians, majority of Nigerians go through. Those Nigerians in the healthcare industry that are doing CNA work or nursing work, they work 12 to 14 hours a day and they stand on their feet. They are not rich. They are just getting by, paying their bills, caring for their immediate family. And if they have a little change to spare, maybe they'll support people back home. But for you to sit in Nigeria and assume, and these guys are not going to tell you the pressures that they are under, pressure to take care of family back home. And some of this pressure is like self-inflicted, though. They take it upon themselves to try and support people back home at the detriment of their situation in who is this? In the US or abroad. So if you're watching this, how many jobs are you currently working? How many jobs have you worked at one time abroad? Me, I've done at least 3 or 4 straight. You come, you just get a little bit. Sometimes I will get off one job, sit in my car, rest a little bit, and then go to the next job. That is the reality. So I want to debunk that immediately. Everybody abroad is not rich. Most of you in Nigeria are faring better, believe you me, than those abroad. So misconception number 3, life overseas is stress-free. Stress-free, care. No, listen, life abroad requires sacrifice. It's not stress-free at all. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, people work long hours, they work multiple jobs. For the most part, they are alone. There's no family support. It happens all the time abroad. It's not like in Nigeria where you can just run home to your brothers and sisters. Most people abroad, depending on where they live, they are largely without community, depending on the part of the US that they live. So when you look at states like, let's say, Texas, or and let me not say state, let's say some cities like Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, Newark, New Jersey, New York, some parts of Boston, Massachusetts, Baltimore, Maryland, Los Angeles, California. Those places have a very large and structured Nigerian community demographic. So at any time, you can access churches. For those who are into that, you have those that were Nigerian churches, just to have a sense of community with other Nigerians who are living within that demographic city. But when you come to a place like, let's say, Las Vegas, where I live, we don't really have a Nigerian community here. America is big. There's 3 time zones here in the US. 3 time zones. I'm on the West Coast. I'm on the West Coast, Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada. Dallas, Texas is 2 hours ahead of me. New York City, the East Coast, is 3 hours ahead of me. So the US is a massive place. And in some cases, I mean, like Russia is like what? They have 18 different time zones. And Nigeria, there's a bunch of Nigerians in Russia, a bunch of Nigerians in Europe. So that can create a lot of stress for people where you just don't have access to the foods. It's a lot easier now though, especially now with e-commerce. Like in our case, most of the foods that my family consumes that we eat, I import them from Nigeria. So we are okay as far as like food is concerned. But and then there's a little Nigerian provision store here in Las Vegas, just one, maybe two. But when you go to all these other cities that I mentioned with a large population of Nigerians, it's almost as if you can feel Nigeria, but you are in the United States. So they may not undergo as much stress as somebody that's living in somewhere in middle America. They may be the only Nigerian in the city. Like me, the only time that I run into Nigerians in Las Vegas is when I occasionally go to the Nigerian store here. Occasionally. You see Nigerians, you talk to the owner, she's a Nigerian, you see other people, you kind of shoot the breeze a little bit. But the reality is that abroad can be very, very stressful without support, without community, depending on where you live abroad. Like I mentioned, the winter is brutal in some parts of the US. I worked in Utah, the state of Utah, and the state of Colorado for 18 months. -4, -10 is so damn cold. You can't even open your mouth to talk. But you still have to go out there and put your head down and work in those harsh conditions. That can create a lot of stress. No extended family support can create a lot of stress. So abroad is very, very, and then added the pressure of having to remit money to family members back home that some people do, which I actually discourage. That can make life overseas for Nigerians extremely stressful. So that's misconception number 3 that I want to debunk right there. Life is extremely stressful overseas. Very, very stressful. So the next one, we are going to go into the segment of identity, family, and culture. So misconception number 4. Nigerians abroad don't care about Nigeria. That is not true. Again, it also depends on their background too, back home. Because some people just want to get as far away from their family members. They don't want to have any association with them based on what they've gone through back home. And when they have the opportunity to go overseas, it's as if they are cutting that umbilical cord, that link. I know Nigerians right now who, and I'm going to tell you, give you a reason, who haven't been home in 30 years. Some people might think it's because they don't care about Nigeria or they don't care about their family. It's because they just can't afford to go home or they don't have a place to go to. Are they going to go and sleep on someone's couch? Or you go to their, or they go to their family house and they give them a room. Okay, this is your room. So you've been abroad, you work long hours, you work multiple jobs, you work in harsh, cold winter weather. And then the 2 weeks that you get to be able to go home on vacation, you're gonna go and sleep in your family's house or in someone's bedroom. Or in some cases, a lot of these Nigerians they'll just go and spend their time in a hotel. That is not a life. So the majority um of how it might feel like they don't care about home is because they don't have somebody back home that can actually help them establish a business. And we've all heard the stories about Nigerians getting burned. They work so hard, they save money, they send it back home for someone to help them build a house. So then that way they have a place they can return to. And then that person turns around and takes that money and builds their own house. And then it's often interpreted that Nigerians don't care. That is not the truth. And again, it doesn't matter where you are abroad. And I know some Nigerians abroad, they don't claim the country for one reason or another. But listen, you can try to be Americanized all you want to. You can wear all the designer clothes you want. You can speak through your nose. And I'm talking to Nigerians abroad right now. You are still a Nigerian, especially generational Nigerians that were born there, people like me. You are still a Nigerian. You have seen situations where Nigerians will walk past other Nigerians and not even say hello. They don't want to associate with other Nigerians. I'm not saying break bread and have dinner, but at least recognize a Nigerian when you see one. Nigerians, we all know each other. I can pick out a Nigerian right now in a group of 50 people. I can look someone in the eye and say, okay, that guy is a Nigerian, that lady is a Nigerian. And I make an effort as much as I can, so long as I'm not invading someone's privacy or invading someone, I make as much effort to at least acknowledge them. But most Nigerians are not like that. You're just not. So we do care about home. Some of them send money home, which, to be honest with you, is a very, very touchy thing for me when Nigerians are remitting money um, to their relatives back home who refuse to work. I mean, I sent money the other day to my niece. I mean, that's a different story. She turned 6, and I found out that my sister is 4 months is pregnant. I found out also my brother's wife is also. So I sent them a little bit of money, not for them, but just as a gift for the child. Okay, this is a pregnancy gift to you. My niece turning 6. Here's some money. Go out and just take yourself out and go, or take her out to a nice restaurant. Let her eat something different for a change. You see, you can do that. That is okay. But the moment you start sending money home to able-bodied relatives who just refuse to work, that is usually an issue. And a lot of Nigerians, they care too much with all of these remittances. Like I mentioned earlier, most of them is like self-inflicted. They take on this responsibility that they don't really have to. And they put themselves on a monthly rotation where they're sending $100, $200, in some cases $500 to relatives back home on a rotational monthly basis at their own detriment abroad. So Nigerians do care. And for those who are investing, why do you invest in Nigeria? Why am I someone like me? Why do I have an operation in Nigeria? It's because I care. My business and investment activities helps to create jobs for Nigerians back home. That is me caring. And it's not just me. The new generation of Nigerians now are looking at what they can do back home, business and investment wise. But you also have to be, if you're watching from Nigeria, you also have to be skilled in your line of work. You just can't sit there and be depending on your relatives. Learn a skill. If you have that relative abroad, maybe you can reach out to them and ask them to help fund some sort of apprenticeship program for you. Do you want to be a carpenter? Do you want to go to school and become a computer programmer? There are ways that you can help Nigerian diasporans reconnect back home. Most of them will be happy to support you in that way. But as far as not having anything to offer, they'll send you to school, you will fail your exam. They'll put you in a training apprenticeship program. You won't even wake up and go to that program. I've seen stories like that. That is Nigerians caring. But at some point, if you are not producing results, they are going to, in Nigeria, call it fashi. They are going to fashi you because they are investing in you. They are trying to reconnect. But you also have to deliver. And this also goes to the contractors out there in Nigeria. Just because your clients are overseas doesn't mean you treat them any different than you would treat a client that's right there in front of you. They say that success begets success. What is successful is often repeated. When you do a good job for somebody like me, I'm going to refer and recommend you. I'm going to bring in more Nigerians, especially when they see what I'm doing. Do you know how many Nigerians abroad that Mbaraka platform has impacted? Because with us, there's no theory behind what we do. You see me on the ground grinding. I've been at the market selling gari. You see me in the village doing construction work. I'm there as if I live there. This actually encourages Nigerians to also want to do it because for them, there's no information. There's nowhere they can really go to go and get information on how they can access the Nigerian market to invest, to form and start a business. So Nigerians abroad, to debunk that, we care about home. We want to come home. We want to do something. We want to invest. But we are also depending on you. That you won't scam us. You won't run away with our money. My dad went through that in the early stages of his investment in Nigeria. What kind of story did my dad not receive? It's as if everybody was just out to swindle. This was back in the 80s and 90s, where you couldn't really track anything. Today, it's a little bit different. So we want somebody to talk to. Like for me, I actually make it so I have an uncle in the oil and gas industry. And another thing, too, guys, all you need is just one or two people in Nigeria that you can relate to. You don't need to have a group of friends or a group of relatives. 80% of them won't be able to help. So, me, in my case, I'm fortunate enough, I have a successful uncle in the oil and gas industry, and I just shoot the breeze with him on a daily basis sometimes. I don't think a week goes by. Even if it's just a message, I'm talking to Nigerians abroad now. Just send them a message, bros, good morning from here, bros, good afternoon from here, how your side? That is how you build relationships. You can't just be sitting there expecting people in Nigeria to be reaching out to you all the time. You also have to make an effort. People abroad, you also have to make an effort. Start reaching out and finding a way to reconnect. That is how I do. I talk to my uncle almost every weekend. If I'm not doing anything, I'm just sitting around, he's on my mind, I'll just shoot him a text message, bros, what's up? Or if I'm, I'll take a picture of my kids, send it to him. That is how, and we've been like that for over 5 years now. Would somebody that doesn't care about Nigeria do that? So it really goes both ways. Nigerians abroad needs you in Nigeria. You are just as much as you need them. Because we all care. CJ, good morning. It's best to do sustainable things. I cannot disagree with that. Yes, our parents' generations are burned out. They are. My father died in 2020 at the young age of 69 due to stress. My dad was the first son in a family of 16. He wasn't the first child. He was the second child, but the first-born son in a family of 16. My grandfather married 5 wives and have 16 kids that we know of. Some people say he has more. Some people say he has 25. Me, I can only count 16. My dad was one of the 16. The pressure, and that is just on my paternal side. And then on the maternal side, he was the only son on the maternal side. With all the relatives and cousins, I couldn't even begin to even live in and that's actually part of the reason why my dad and I did not get along, because he prioritized extended family over immediate family. The best decision that my dad made in his entire life was bringing me to America. Best decision. Because out of everything, out of all the investment, there's only one standing, and it's me. 90% of the people that my dad supported for 42 years didn't come to his funeral in Nigeria. They did not. Even when I was preparing my dad's funeral here, because my dad passed away here in San Antonio, I had to send him back home to bury him in Nigeria. Did you know that the relatives were asking me for money when I was in the process of the burial? So I can honestly say that at the tender age of 69, Trump is what, 77? Does Trump look like he's going away anytime soon? My dad died at 69, largely due to stress from relatives back home. Elizabeth Patrick, thank you so much, sir, for this insightful teaching. You are so welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Post more questions. Let's talk. CJ, you too. My dad was never able to lift off a forensics clinical psychologist working for the state of Texas could make it. Now you with the drive taxi won't go make am. With all that pressure, he cared so much about home. Couldn't make it. Because of the pressure. So let's move on. That's another story. I'm going to do a whole new podcast on my dad. So misconception number 5. Before I go to misconception number 5, I'm going to ask a question. Nigerians abroad, this one is for you. How often do you talk to people back home? How often do you talk to your relatives back home? Start today and start reconnecting with relatives back home, Nigerians abroad. Misconception number 5. Nigerians abroad abandon their families. Look, the day that I made the decision to walk away from my extended family was the day that I started becoming successful. I had to. This one is actually true. But they are not abandoned anymore. Everybody is now back now, but it's a different relationship now. I was running mad. They will reach out to me for burial. Bros, so and so just died. I want to go and bury. Shishi, you no get. You are reaching out to me abroad to help you fund burial in Nigeria. And the thing about my own is, I didn't have anybody at that time to tell me, Rich, you don't have to do this. I didn't have that luxury. So I felt just like most Nigerians that I was obligated to fund burials and funerals and all that stuff. And I woke up one day, I'm telling you, I've given you guys this story before. I was flat broke. I was 30 years old. I woke up in bed, looked at my ceiling. Shishi, I didn't have. I used to sell my furnitures just to be able to send people money home to go and celebrate Christmas in the early days. And then I realized one day that I couldn't do this. Really need to appreciate our family members living abroad more, honestly speaking. The little that they do for you. You see, people are changing now. Most Nigerians abroad are not remitting money like that anymore. I'm not going to call them names, but they know who they are. But most people now are starting to invest back home. But back to my abandonment story. I'm like, listen, una go. I'm done. That actually caused an issue with me and my mom. For 5 years, my mom and I didn't talk because I stopped sending money. 5 years. Because I had my mom on a monthly allowance. Every month I go dish out. They never sent me food. They never even bothered to even ask me where I was getting the money. Occasionally they will call, how are you? How are you? And every call always ends with, give me something. So if you see people abandoning their families back home, clap for them. So when I stopped, and it wasn't as if somebody told me to stop, I just realized that, Rich, this one is unsustainable now. This is all, you can't keep doing this. And I stopped. And I started with the closest one I was to, which is my mom. I'm like, okay, if I feel cut off my mom, everybody else can go. So I started with the top dog first. I said, listen, I didn't even tell her that I was cutting her off financially. I just disappeared financially. If I see phone call, they enter, I go put straight to voicemail. That was how I started training myself, just little by little, little by little. So the monthly payments stopped, cut that off. And I started asking, okay, let's see if they'll be alive 6 months from now. My mom is alive. I had to let her go. Then I let my sisters go. Then I let my uncles and aunts go. For years, my mom did 5 years. My mom didn't talk to me for 5 years. I didn't give a shit because I had to make an existential decision because the direction that I was going wasn't working. You see, now my mom and I are tight because now there's boundaries. Even that small money that I sent home for my niece and my sister that's pregnant, and my brother's wife that's pregnant, I just gave them a little piece. Just here, take. I didn't send it directly to my mom. Oh. I said, just you see this money, just take small, give her. You see, now my mom and I have a good relationship because before our relationship was mostly transactional. It was always because now they felt that they had a safety net back home now, back in the US. So yes, I did. I did my own fair share of abandonment. I'd abandoned because I just couldn't support anymore. I told my dad to stop calling me only to ask for me. That CJ, that was me and my mom. Because my dad was already in the US. So my dad didn't really ask for my dad has never asked me for a dime in his life. Never. But my mom back home. And to be honest with you, that whole you telling her may cause problems. Because now they'll say you are disrespectful, CJ. That was what she reported me now. She was calling my uncles. Richard is disrespecting me. Richard, me. I brought him into this world. You know now that guilt trip that they will give you. I brought you into this world. Would you be alive if it wasn't for me? I heard all that. Daily update. That is the trap that most Nigerians are in. You are even good. You are paying for self-improvement and well-considered business ideas. I don't even do that. So I heard the stories. They were calling me, bros, you are disrespecting madam like that. I'm like, how is me telling you I'm not giving you money anymore disrespectful? So you see, you gotta know who you are dealing with. You see, me, I know my mom is very emotional. So what I did was I just stopped talking and I stopped giving. I did two things. I stopped talking because I knew that they were going to misinterpret that as insults with Nigerian tradition and Nigerian culture. So I stopped talking and I just stopped giving. And after she realized that, this one, money no, they come again. No. That was actually one of the best decisions of. I mean, occasionally I would check on her through my brothers and sisters. Okay, at least is she okay? Oh, she's fine. Okay, that's all I need to know. For 5 years. Now the relationship is better. It is it's no longer transactional. Now when my mom calls, she will speak to my family, she'll talk to my daughters. Now we don't have money chats anymore because I drew the boundaries. But it took some time. Okay? So yeah, I did my fair share of abandoning. And if you are abroad watching this, and you are currently in the position that I was in, where you are being pressured to support siblings, support families, to support extended family and people and friends, just know that you can stop. They can't do anything to you. They are not going to slap you. They are not going to. Are they paying your bills? Are they? They are not paying your bills, so you are not obligated to them. You are obligated to your immediate. You see now, it's like I've been married now for 7 years, going on 8. I have 2 daughters. So they're not born unaware to think that I'm going to be pressured to give you. I will give you money out of my own free will if I want. I don't even do it occasionally. And that's another thing too, guys. If you're married and you are going behind the back of your spouse to send money to Nigeria, it's a problem. That we are going to come to that because I think that's one of the misconceptions. Okay, I will address that when I get to it. But yes, so most Nigerians, we try our best to support our family members back home financially and emotionally. And some of us do abandon, but it always comes back full circle though. Because my own situation was existential. It was either they go or I go, and I wasn't going anywhere. And now the relationship is actually a lot better now than it was before because of drawing that boundary and drawing that line. But if you see your family members, if they appear to have abandoned you, instead of you jumping to conclusions, just maybe have a conversation. That's why I'm telling you guys, how often do you talk to people back home? My mom used to always say, a problem shared is half solved. If you're working 3 jobs, tell them. If things are tight financially, tell them. If you just can't give them money anymore, tell them. Those who love you will understand. And the ones that keep applying pressure after you've told them your condition, your situation, just like my mom. I'm the first son. I brought you into this world. You do this and that. I'm like, for where? You got to go. You got to go. My cousin told me a story once. She's in Jersey. She said to me, Rich, man, and I think she has since stopped because her mom was just like my mom. So her mom and my mom are sisters. So she was supporting and supporting. She said, Rich, I went home to Nigeria for the first time in 10 years. Because a lot of these people, they come abroad, they work so hard, and before you know what's happening, 10 years has gone by. She told me, I went to Nigeria and I looked at my mom and I looked at myself, and it felt as if I was the mother and my mom was the daughter. I'm like, what do you mean? She said, my mom was fresher than me. She was fresher than me. The daughter said that. Because the mom refused to work. She has built, my cousin built a house that the mom is living in. So the mom doesn't pay bills. My cousin is the one that gives them money for food, gives them money for food every single day. So one, she has no bills obligation. She doesn't pay mortgage. She doesn't pay rent. So she has a free house to live. And then she's also eating for free because the daughter is supporting her back home. Why would she not be fresher than the daughter? That's what happened. If you are married to a Westerner because they don't have the same cultural expectation, I'm actually going to talk a little bit about that because I'm married to an American. My wife, Kate, you guys can see her in videos. You see, it depends on your spouse. My wife is the opposite of me. She comes from a structured family. Her parents are still together. My in-laws, they've been together for 40, and they just celebrated their 40-something years of marriage not too long ago. So my wife comes from a very structured, stable background. She has 3 other siblings. There's 4 of them. My wife is number 3, but she's the oldest daughter. So it's 2 boys, 2 girls. No, it's kids. Kate is like number 2. Kate is okay. Maybe number 2 or number 3. Structured. Complete opposite of me. I came from a very dysfunctional background because my parents were never married. They just got together and had me. So I didn't have the same functional background that Kate has. And that is why I love her family so much. But I gotta do this. I prioritize my family. Immediate family means my wife and my children. But I have never sent money home to Nigeria to help somebody without telling her. You see, she has never in the 7 years that I've known her told me no. It's because I'm also respectful of my marriage. Sending $100 here, $150, $200 here is one thing. If you do it maybe once every 6 months. But some of you are sending $500, $1,000, $2,000 every other month while you are married. Are you crazy? So Kate understands the culture. She understands the Nigerian culture. But I also have to be mindful to not put myself or my family in a financial bind just to be able to help relatives back home. So she respects that. Because she is not like, so my father-in-law is a CFO, Chief Financial Officer. They do well. My mother-in-law works in healthcare. She does well. So if anything, they give us, like on my birthday, they will just give me $25 on my birthday. I'm 47 years old. But it's in their nature, it's in their blood. It's not as if I need the money. It's just the thought that counts. There's no single birthday that goes by in 7 years that I've known my in-laws where I don't get an envelope with $25. I don't even know why it's 25. I don't know why it's not 20 or 30. $25 is what they give me on my birthday. They give the kids too. I don't know if it's $25 thing. Jeanette's birthday, they'll drop $25. Nelly's birthday, they'll drop it. We just put those money in their bank account. You should see my daughter's bank account. 7 years old. The other one is 4 years old. Both of them have bank accounts. By the time that they are 18 years old and ready for college, that's when we are going to unlock that bank account to help pay for the college that they are going to attend. So it's a cultural thing, I get it, but you have to also respect your home. And I think that's also what's causing a lot of issues with Nigerian marriages to Westerners, whether it's both ways, whether it's the wife or the husband, and it doesn't really matter. But the issue that usually happens that causes a lot of problems is this need that you gotta say that thing has broken up a lot of marriages overseas. When Nigerians are sending, there was somebody that told me that he reached out to me for assistance here in the United States. Hey man, I could really use your help. I'm like, okay, what's going on? Uh bills. Then I'm like, okay, but you're working. What happened with all your money? What's going on? Oh, I sent it. I had to support people back home in Nigeria. And I'm like, so how are you paying your rent? He said, oh, I paid it with credit card, and I have to wait for my paycheck to come before I pay off that credit card. And he needed money in the interim. That is what some Nigerians are actually going through. But in his own case, though, it was self-imposed because he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do that. He could have told them easily, just like I did, let them go. This causes a lot of issues. I'll tell you another story before I move on to the next misconception. So there was a Nigerian in Texas, and this is not just the Niger Western matter; it's also a Niger matter. So the guy is a Nigerian in Texas. He brought his wife. He brought his wife from Nigeria to the United States, and she started working. And all she did when she got her paycheck was to send it back home to support her friends and to support her family back home without the knowledge of the husband. So this isn't a Niger Western problem. It's also a Niger. That was actually one of the reasons why they divorced, because she prioritized extended over immediate. And then it became this whole legal matter that he said, she used him to come to the US. And I think he ended up suing her, and he was threatening to report her to the immigration for fraud. I mean, it was a big mess. It was. So this remitting money thing is very, very common, and it's destroying a lot of American homes. Nigerian households, generational Nigerian, born and raised, both in the United States, and they are busy, both of them. This one, husband go send money to relatives, wife go send money to relatives, but they are struggling in the United States. So let's move on. I know we are an hour, and let's move on because we have quite a bit to go. Misconception number 6. We all live in luxury abroad. Well, you got to define what that means. Do you guys know that most people don't own things abroad? If you see that Nigerian driving that flashy Lamborghini, he doesn't own it, he's making payments. If you see them in a mansion, they are not owning it. They don't own it, they are making payments. Unlike in Nigeria, where we buy things cash outright, you own things outright. In the United States, maybe the only thing that you own is probably the clothes on your back. Most people, 99% of mortgage loans is 30 years. 99% of mortgages financed abroad. Meaning you are making monthly payments. Some people pay off their loans a lot quicker than others, but it's usually an average of 30 years. So luxury, and when you see You see a lot of these guys on, that's why I don't do social media. Because it's not true. It's all false. It's a false life that a lot of Nigerians back home are biting. You see somebody in a nice flashy car, you think they are living in luxury, but they're actually living in debt. And for those of you that are living in Nigeria on the pretense of coming to go and school abroad, let's just say you obtain student loans. You got to pay that student loan off, fool. And you got to work extra shift. So if you are living in a mansion back home, you are looking at people, Nigerians here on social media, showing you their mansiony lifestyle. 9 times out of 10, they're probably just renting for flex. They'll rent, they'll shoot content, they'll post it to gain likes and followers. Somebody has restored it and the site has gone bad again. Oh my God. Oh, guys, it's the America.com website that's going through issues right now. Oh my God. So let's be honest, guys. Can you confirm? Yes, they did. It's just miscommunication right now between my developer and the host of the website. So no, we don't all live in mansions. The property that we are living here, this property is 1960, was built in 1963. It's an older property, but we bought it because of the space. We wanted our kids to be able to have room to run around and play around. So the thing about the US is if you want more land space, if you are one of those that care about space, land space like we do, because having 2 kids, we don't want them in the house. Most of the time we are telling them go outside and play, and our property is fenced, so they are safe. And I can literally see them from my office. We can see them from our lounge. So it's a great safe area for them to play in. Our main house, our main living house is only 1,000 square feet. It's not that big, but it's big enough for the 4 of us. And then when the kids go off to college, it's small enough that my wife and I can live in comfortably. But this property is not going anywhere. Once the kids are off to college, possibly Kate and I are probably going to move to a ranch. That's our goal. We want to move to a ranch. And then we are going to rent out this place. So it's not luxury living. We are better off than most Americans. I have to be honest with that. But I won't go as far as to say that our lifestyle is luxury. And we do okay financially. Okay. So the third segment is going to be on reputation, discrimination, and resilience. So misconception number 7. Every Nigerian abroad is doing fraud. No, that's not. I'm not even going to talk too much about that. So no, that's not true. Nigerians are hardworking. They're not fraudulent. I talked about this before in the previous videos. We have doctors here. We have lawyers. We have nurses, academics, engineers, project manager, executives, corporate executives. Nigerians are doing most Nigerians are actually, they work corporate jobs. They work respectful jobs. Yeah, it's just a stereotype that's floating out there about Nigerians doing fraud. No, that is not true. Every Nigerian abroad is not doing fraud. They're actually cracking down. They've been cracking down on it for quite some time now. It's actually becoming a lot more. It's difficult now to commit crimes with artificial intelligence, with facial recognition. You are better off just getting a normal, regular job and living a clean life. This day and age is not the day and age for any sort of kind of criminality, especially in the Western world. Maybe you can fly in Nigeria, but in the Western world, you'll get nabbed. It's just not worth it. So misconception number 8, Nigerians abroad don't face discrimination or racism. We do. We actually do face discrimination and racism, but people push through, they succeed, and they expel regardless. So, I mean, can I honestly look at you in the eye right now as a Nigerian born, naturalized US citizen and say that I have not faced racism, either directly or indirectly in America? I'll be lying. I have faced it. It's not something that you face every day, but there's this thing called systemic racism. One way or another. You see it in corporate America, and that is actually why I left corporate America, because you don't see a lot of blacks in leadership executive positions. I can say that that is systemic racism now, even though it may not be directed at me or other Nigerians abroad. You generally don't see at the highest level. I'm talking about the 1% of the American population that's controlling the 99%. Very, very rare for you to see a black person, much less a Nigerian, in a position of power, executive level. And the few that just are fortunate to be in that space, they generally don't bring others along, because they are trying to protect their position and protect their seats. I've seen that before when I was working at DreamWorks Pictures, Steven Spielberg's company in Los Angeles. And you look around you and you just don't see anybody like you at the top. You start questioning it. So the first time that I saw a black executive at DreamWorks, I was so excited. And I went up to try and introduce myself. She brushed me to the side as if I was nothing. She literally sized me up, looked me up and down, and said, without saying it, "How dare you?" So racism is not, people always think that racism is white profiling blacks. But there are also blacks that are profiling blacks too. Unlike Nigeria, there's no racism in Nigeria. There may be tribalism, maybe somebody in the north may favor a northerner instead of a southerner, and vice versa. Because people tend to hire people who look like them. They tend to bring people into the circle that looks like them. So while Nigeria might be considered tribalism, the US is also that way in terms of like systemic racism. If you put two people together, same merit, same credentials, same education, one is white, one is black, and the black person is the one doing the hiring, 9 times out of 10, that black person will hire the other black person. And if it's the white person that's doing the hiring, 9 times out of 10, that white person will hire the other white person. So in a way, systemic racism kind of runs both ways, in a way. But the problem is, we just don't have enough black people at the top doing the hiring. That is why you continue to see this marginalized sort of workforce where It's always the whites at the top making all the decisions, hiring all the people. And then maybe you might have like a black middle manager. But those that are actually doing the work are the minorities. So we do face racism, but it's not the racism in the Jim Crow era where they had black restrooms, meaning whites only sign and blacks only sign. Obviously, that doesn't exist anymore. That only happened in the Jim Crow era in the 50s and 60s, but it doesn't happen anymore. But yes, we do experience, which actually adds to stress too. You know what I mean? So we do experience that. Um, Misconception number segregation. Yes, segregation. We don't. There's not much segregation. Um, I mean, is there segregation in the South? But no, you're not going to see that. White toilet, black toilet, or white only washroom and then black only washroom. That doesn't exist anymore in modern United States. It does not. So misconception number 9. Nigerians abroad lose their culture. Listen, that is not true. Culture travels with us, especially foundational Nigerians like myself. I was born and raised in Nigeria. My culture is with me. I I cannot go a month without eating Nigerian food. All of our ingredients, from our pepper to our salt to the gari in the house, is all Nigerian food. Because my system just can't. I know if you do burger like that. I gotta have swallow. I wear Nigerian attire when I can. I teach my kids the language. So the culture travels with us. But then there are also others that just they don't want to kind of represent. But I don't think any Nigerian that lives abroad can go a month without eating Nigerian food. They just can't. So the music, Nigerian music, I don't really play Nigerian music in a house like that. And I talked about in yesterday's episode about how I no longer consume Nigerian Nollywood films just based on the themes. I don't really do that whole witchcraft themes like the Niger content is known for. I don't do all that crap. But the culture is definitely there. I brought my culture. Now again, at some point that culture is going to die. It's just the way things are. I don't know if my kids are going to be able to sustain that culture, but I'm instilling in them while I can. Now, when I'm gone and my time is all gone, my kids they may just be connected to Nigeria by lineage because they are not born there. They are born here in the US. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Even Nigerians, in my case, I'm married to a Westerner, but even Nigerians that are, let's say, the parents are born in Nigeria and raised in Nigeria, and they come abroad and have children abroad, it's going to be extremely difficult to connect those kids back to Nigeria. But you just do what you can. At least for me, all I can do is instill as much Nigerian culture in my kids. Like every day, I remind them that they are half Nigerian and half American. Like my kids know, because I want them to be able to relate to both sides. I cannot be greedy and say you're 100% Nigerian. That's not true. So I watch a lot of Nigerian content as far as like Nigerian news, channels, TV, Arise TV. It's even to a point where my kids are like, Daddy, you're watching Nigerian content again? Yes, I'm watching Nigerian content again. I want to put that in their mind. Okay, so the culture does stay with us, but at some point, let's be honest with ourselves, that culture is going to die with your lineage. But for now, I'm only going to do the best. All I can do is the best that I can to ensure that my kids are eating Nigerian food, to know where their father is from, to know the culture. Like I put my kids on the phone with their cousin in Nigeria. They talk. When I'm speaking Ibibio, I ensure that my kids are around so that they can hear me speak the language. I do that. My kids know how to count in Ibibio. I speak to them, I give them commands in Ibibio. Open the door. I don't say open the door, I speak it in Ibibio. Anything that I want them to do, come, I don't tell them come, I tell them Dimi. That is my way of instilling language, and now they know. I speak the language as much as I can to them. So yes, culture doesn't go away, it travels with us, guys. So segment number 4, money expectations and mental health. We send endless money back home. We've already talked about that. Many people are abroad, they do struggle financially, but they still try to help where they can. The issue is when people back home become entitled. My mom was one of those entitled mothers. And I had to do what I had to do to cut her off and to help set boundaries. So sending money is not easy. And no, we don't send. Some people send endless. Popsy was one of those guys that sent money endlessly for 42 years and then he died broke. And then 90% of the people that he supported did not come to his wedding, sorry, his funeral. But I think the new Nigerians abroad are starting to wisen up. They're starting to realize that it's not sustainable for them to support family members financially in Nigeria for a prolonged amount of time. It's just not. Okay, so misconception number 11, we're almost there. Life abroad is better for everybody. No, it's not. Abroad isn't for everybody. There are people abroad that are making it, and there are also Nigerians abroad that are roasting, meaning they are suffering. And by abroad, I'm not talking about just the Western world. Are you following the news? Nigerians in the Ukraine, you saw what happened with them. A lot of them got sent back home. Nigerians in Dubai, some of them have been prostituted and trafficked. I don't understand how somebody will leave the comforts of Nigeria to go to another man's country to go and suffer. Nigerians are everywhere. I still don't understand what Nigerians are doing living in Ghana and Togo and Burkina Faso when there's Nigeria there. Are you telling me that life is better in Ghana and Burkina Faso, Togo, and you are a Nigerian? Have you even given Nigeria an opportunity before running away or immigrating? And also the places that you guys are immigrating to. India. One of my cousin's friends left Nigeria and went and died in India. They didn't even have money to send to bury him in Nigeria. He was buried in India. Me, I don't see it. I can't leave Nigeria to go to a place like India and Pakistan to go and live. So maybe you guys are seeing something that me, I'm not seeing. But me, I don't understand. If I'm a Nigerian, I want to immigrate anywhere. It's either the United States of America or Canada. UK is hard. Somebody that I know went to UK. Didn't last a year. They went back to Nigeria. Because they just couldn't do it. They couldn't do the culture. They couldn't do the lifestyle. They couldn't do the cold. They did not last a year. They returned back home. UK. So anyone that is out there waving the UK flag, listen, UK is fun. If you want to go to UK and have your fun and return back to Nigeria, that is okay. But when you see these Nigerians in the United Kingdom, you see, we can argue this all day long, guys. I know people in the UK, especially England, London, England. Una, they suffer. They are suffering. But they're not going to tell you. So anytime you see somebody coming in and flashing that UK flag, I'm from the UK, just look at them. Obviously, you want to respect everybody, but don't think that they're better off than you. Some thrive, others also return home. A lot of Nigerians, right? Look, a lot of Nigerians are now abroad who have come, worked, seen the Western system. Some of them just want to go home. Unfortunately, for most of them, they are at a point in their life where they are aged, they are much older, so they just ride it out abroad. And they die here. And either the church that they belong to buries them because they don't really have any resources to be, or they've been gone for far too long that bond they had with Nigeria has been completely broken. There are a lot of Nigerians in the diaspora that they are dying left and right in the diaspora due to stress, due to just not having family support. So life is not better. US is a country, it's a rich country in terms of you have everything that you need if you want to be truly, truly successful. It can happen in the US. US is the only place that I know that you have that kind of breeding ground. And I've traveled worldwide. US is the only place. So we can be fortunate for those in the US, in the United States, that we have that. And another thing too, most of these people that are struggling, part of what is contributing to that is they don't have their papers. A lot of them are immigrating out of Nigeria without proper documentation. They are coming under the table. They are using other people's names. And then when they get into this Western society, without your paperwork, without a proper legal paperwork, the Western society is a nightmare. If you are not a legal resident, you'll be better off in Nigeria than to come here without papers. See, one of my dad's friends didn't have papers for 25 years. In Texas. He did not have papers for 25 years. The man no go house, no go Nigeria. That is common. And for 25 years, it's odd jobs under the table. You can't really move freely. And it's even worse now with Trump in power. They are picking up people left and right and deporting them left and right. Today is not, listen, and there's 3 more years to go. Now is not the time to be an undocumented Nigerian in the United States. If you are thinking about coming here undocumented, that's if you can even get in. I don't even think you can get in. You better wait and let this one just go away 3 more years. Because they are picking people up left and right with facial recognition, with forensics background check. It's very difficult. if not impossible, for you to breathe in the United States right now as an undocumented immigrant. And some of these Nigerian guys are doing every and anything imaginable just to be able to leave Nigeria, thinking that life is better abroad. Life is better in Nigeria. Let me tell you something. Some of the best fun that I have, maybe I'm just speaking from a diasporan perspective now, but some of the best fun that I have is in Nigeria when I go home. I get to eat what I want, do what I want, have fun, enjoy myself. And then I have to come back to the reality and the rigors of the United States when I'm done. So, abroad, no be for everybody. Especially if you are 35 and over. You have people who are 40, 50, talking about they want to come abroad and go to school. Which school you won't go at 40 and 50 years old? You are lying. Just be honest. You're trying to get away, to come abroad, to come out, but on the pretense of that you are going to school. Me, I'm not buying that. So, if you are in Nigeria and you have a way to legally immigrate, you have my support. But if you are in Nigeria and you are trying to immigrate illegally anywhere in the world, illegally, whether it's next door, Togo, Ghana, UK, US, Dubai, don't do it. Especially the United States, now that Trump is in power, don't even dare. Because they'll just pack you up and wrap you up like a burrito and send you back. And that's 10 years. You can't come back for 10 years. I think that's the minimum now if you are deported. If you self-deport, though, I think it's like 5 years. If you realize, say, the pressure is mounting and they are coming close, let me self-deport. If you self-deport, the US can actually help you. They will help you pay for your flights back home. Maybe they'll give you a stipend, some pocket money or so. And then you can go back and try to do it properly. I think it's like 5 years when you self-deport. But if they catch you and deport you, minimum 10 years, oh. That is for non-criminals. That is if you are just caught and maybe you violated your visa stay, you are caught, you don't have a criminal record, that's 10 years. But if you have any kind of criminal record in the United States and you are deported, that's for life. That is immigration. A whole month, you mean a week. That's immigration. Same thing has happened to Italian Americans, Asian Americans, etc. That's true. That's true. But most Nigerians are poor. Are you talking about most Nigerians in the US or back home? That's a touchy one. Because poor is relative. And most of these so-called poor Nigerians in the US, they are poor by choice. You see, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. If you have an extra $2,000 just sitting in your bank account, and then you have people on your payroll in Nigeria, meaning family and friends, they are on your payroll because they refuse to work. So this one will come. My uncle told me the story that That when somebody came up to him and, oh, the wife is pregnant. This is my uncle, the one in oil and gas. He gave the guy money. And then the wife had a child, had the baby, came back. He gave the person money. And then the man impregnated the wife again and came back with the same story. And my uncle was like, man, what the hell is going on? Am I going to keep on 10 minutes away to perform their work? Okay. I have to go soon, guys, because my washer and dryer is bad. So the technician just messaged me that he'll be here in 10 minutes. So my uncle was like, what do I look like? You go, you impregnate somebody, you impregnate your wife, you come back and tell me that you've done the deed. And now you're coming back and asking for money for the delivery. And then you go and repeat the process. My uncle had to stop. But unfortunately, some of these Nigerians are on that payroll, Sha. And a lot of it is self-inflicted poverty. I'll probably say majority of the time is self-inflicted. Because you can't draw the line. Most people are poor in Nigeria. I mean, listen, you are right. The president of Nigeria actually went on record yesterday and said that Nigerians are poor, which I thought wasn't good optics for him to do that. For a whole president of a country to declare on national television that we may be poor, that was not a good look for Tinubu. And I like Tinubu's reforms. I'm rich because of Tinubu's reforms. But you just can't be going there as a president of Nigeria and confirming that even if the country is poor, lie that the country is rich. So no, that was a bad move on his part to go on national television and officially declare that Nigeria, we may be poor, but we are improving. Nobody wants to hear that. That doesn't give Nigerians back home any motivation when their leader is telling them that they are poor. So misconception number 12. Nigerians abroad don't face loneliness or mental stress. Man, mental health is a big deal. Because Nigerians are abroad is lonely. If anybody tells you otherwise, they are lying. And remember, the United States of America is big. I'm only speaking from an American perspective. I'm not even talking about people in Canada. Like CJ, you are in Canada, right? And Canada is very widespread. You see a population here, you're not going to see another population for hours and hours, and it's very pocketed, if I'm correct, in Canada. Because one of my friends is from Saskatchewan. So his reforms, the how we got rich from Tinubu's reforms is largely due to the unification of the US dollar. Because back then, when Buhari was in power, we couldn't do much. Because it was like $1 to 400, $1 to 350. And you had the black market. So we couldn't really do much investment-wise in Nigeria. But then when Tinubu came in, and one of the first things that he did was unify the exchange rate. And now the market is determining what the exchange rate is. So now a dollar is 1,400 and 1,450, 470 something naira. And we are rich because of that. Because now we can do more. We are investing more. We are buying in naira now. And majority of our business is in exports, where we manufacture and buy in naira, and we bring our products into the United States and sell in hard currency, US dollars. Yes. Yeah, she's from Saskatchewan. She actually tried to, this was when I was single. I was dating this girl from Saskatchewan. She actually tried to get me to visit Saskatchewan then in my single days. But yeah, I heard Canadian stories. Canadians are nice though. Canadians are nice. I've never been to Canada. Got very, very close, and then I met kids, and then started my family, and then that was the end of that relationship. Yes. So another thing too is like Tinubu is also pro CJ. Tinubu is very pro diaspora in his reforms. So if you're a diasporan right now, under President Bola Tinubu, if you are brave and you are financially savvy, you can become extremely wealthy in Nigeria. Because it's under Tinubu that this whole Dangote refinery thing is happening. And he's going to make, when that guy goes public, he's going to make a lot of diasporans wealthy next year under Tinubu's reforms. Because he's more of a businessman than Buhari. Buhari was just a politician. Remember, Buhari was a military general that then became a president. So his reforms are always going to be hardcore military. Tinubu is a businessman. Tinubu is a businessman. Where do you live in Canada, CJ? So yes, so mental health matters even abroad. There are so many people facing isolation in the United States. Depending on which state and city that they live in, like I said, my city, I don't. There's really not a lot of. There are no Nigerians here like that. But when you go to Houston, Dallas, and other areas, New Jersey, Baltimore, they have more of a Nigerian population, so you feel more at home. And then those guys, they have like churches, Nigerian churches. Yeah, there's no Nigerian church here now. So that church thing gives them the community that they need to belong and not too much feel isolated. For those who go to church, me, I don't do church. I don't feel like I need that kind of community. I don't. I'm okay with my immediate family. Yeah. So that is all the misconceptions. Nigerians abroad, for some of those, for some of the most resilient, hardworking people on the planet, if any of this hits home with you guys, continue to join me on this 12 misconceptions series. I'm going to turn this into a series so we can not only debunk and answer some of these misconceptions, but also use the misconceptions to educate, train, advise, and coach others who may be interested in doing business in Nigeria, or maybe Nigerians abroad, or visitors, tourists, expats, just anyone who's interested in Nigeria. The 12 misconceptions series is for you. So I highly recommend that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, like, share, and comment. We're going to roll out the next one very soon. Tomorrow I can't do it because my daughter is home tomorrow, and I'm just not going to be able to record with my 4-year-old in the house. So more than likely the next episode is going to be on Monday. So follow the 12 misconceptions series by Rich and Bericat. We're gonna debunk and answer a lot of things, and then in the process we also want to train, teach, coach, and help other people understand Nigeria better. Because a better Nigeria is a better you, a better Nigeria is a better me, and a better Nigeria is a better Nigeria. All right. So Toronto and Halifax, Nova Scotia. All right, I have to come to Canada one day, CJ. You gotta invite me. All right, hey CJ, it's always fun. I'll catch you on the next one. I gotta run. The technicians are here to look at my washer and dryer. Talk to you guys later.